Hey everybody, this is Johnny 5 Pizza Guy. Today we have another interview, but this time with Doug Marr. He makes Fallout cosplays, and one of his costumes was even featured on the Fallout show. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Mate, I come from Australia, so I live in a place called Newcastle on the east coast, just north of Sydney, and here in Australia. And my background is I work in the electrical trade and electrical engineering, and I work in a management position now. So for me, it's building things. It's my sort of downtime sort of thing. It started about 10 years or so ago, probably a bit over 10 years or so ago now. Um, but it started with my kids. Both my children wanted to go to conventions to do cosplay, and
Hmm.
I like building stuff. So I built. I started. I bought them a costume from the shops, but I've got a pretty heavy competitive streak in myself, so I wanted to do something that was better, looked better. So I started building costumes for the kids. Kids asked me if I wanted to join in, and of course, yeah, I'm always down to play. So that's where I started getting into cosplay and prop building. So here I am now, and I'm just still building things. So the main focus of what I do these days is building items for charity and also supporting young creators and young artists within the prop building and cosplay space. So that's the my main focus these days is still running the Five Knot Creations, but I've created a new group called the Wasteland Collective, where I've got a group of really awesome creators and artists from around Australia and New Zealand, where we're sharing our resources, our knowledge, so that we can actually everyone can all grow together and we can share more with the community, so everyone can then benefit. And the offshoot for that is all the items that we are selling or auctioning off. The money goes through to Cure Cancer Australia or the Cancer Society of New Zealand to raise money for cancer research, which is a big issue down here in Australia. It's down here in Australia, 1 in 3 people are affected by cancer, so it's something that we really, really want to try to knock over and try to help us out as many people as we can. So yeah, that's the Cliff Notes version of that's me in a nutshell.
Hmm. Okay, that's amazing that you decided to make a group project with all these other different people that build cosplays and try to grow together, try to give each other knowledge and try to get better, at your craft.
Yeah, well, 100%. Look, that's the main thing about building stuff with the cosplay. It's there's no sort of one single tutorial that you can go to learn how to do cosplay or prop building. The prop building and cosplay, it encompasses probably about a dozen different trades and skills there. So it's one of the most multifaceted um, hobbies you can say that you can ever get into. So the only way that you can really learn and progress is by off other people. There's people will tell you the good things to do, the bad things to do, what to watch out for, and especially when it's early on, is what are the best materials to use for it. So again, the whole thing is about trying to make sure that we're building ourselves a community where everyone is sharing resources and knowledge, so we can all grow together.
Hmm. Okay. So for my first question, I'm going to look at this. All right. Tell me about when you received the opportunity to make a power suit for the TV show Fallout. How did you feel?
That was awesome. So the suit of armor I did, it wasn't for the show itself. It was for the season 2 premiere down here in Sydney. So they'd I've done a bit of work with Bethesda over the years for a lot of the some of the charity events that we've done, and they'd passed my name on across to Amazon. And I'd only recently finished building the power armor and the power armor station for the big PAX South event down here down in Australia in Melbourne. So I'd finished building that, and then Amazon and got in contact with me and asked me if I'd mind borrowing them my suit of armor to show at the season 2 premiere for the Fallout season 2, and it was awesome. Like, I was really over the moon. So it felt really, really cool to actually be recognized in that space there, that the things that I built seemed worthy enough. to be shown at a big, massive event like the season two premiere. And we had the cast came down to Australia here, and it was a very, very surreal moment there for myself and also my son who helps me with a lot of my builds as well.
That's really nice. Okay. Are you a diehard fan of Fallout, or are you simply inspired by the appearance of the power suits?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. Look, I've loved Fallout since it came out. Like it's, I mean, look, I'm of the vintage now where I was old enough when Fallout One came out. So like I'm 51 years old in a couple of months' time. So I think by your standard, I'm pretty much ancient these days. So but big like I've been a huge fan of video games my whole life. For me, video games is one of my greatest escapes. I loved the Fallout One, Fallout Two, even Tactics and Brotherhood of Steel. Look, I love it. You know, but then when like Fallout Three came out, I really really loved the power armor there. Then you had the first person point of view, different graphics. So for me, I love that concept there. The way that I got into building these things was basically through my children, especially my son. My son, he loved Fallout 4. Um, and when he was much younger, my son, he's 19 years old now, but when he was much younger, he wanted to go to a convention dressed in power armor. So I built him a smaller version of the power armor because at the time he was only around about 10 years old or so. So there's no
Mhm.
way he could fit in one of the big suits. So I scaled some of the patterns down and I built a suit of armor for him. And I then built a suit for myself. So a lot of it came down to um, like it gave me the opportunity to spend time with my son, to connect with my son. Yeah, so we both love video games, and I've got a daughter as well. Now she's 22, so she joined in when she was a lot younger as well. So yeah, inspired by the video game, but again, I really love the aesthetics of the power armor. So it looks so cool.
Yeah, me too. I actually really agree with that. It does it looks really, really cool. But
Oh,
another thing, what do you play nowadays? What games?
ooh, that's a good one. So these days, just recently, I finished off Claire Obscura.
Hmm.
Absolute banger. I'm always in between, new games. I'm always playing around with Fallout 76. Um, Again, I love the building mechanics in Fallout 76. I mean, I'm one of those people. I don't think there is a bad Fallout game. If for me, Fallout, it's cool. It's cool. I don't care what I'm playing. So I'm always in and out of Fallout 76. But I've been going back to some of my old games as well. So I've been jumping back into Red Dead Redemption 1. Um, that's always a that's always a favorite of mine. But yeah, at the moment, I've just finished off like a massive run with Claire Obscura. Um, Absolutely love that game, and yeah, and then I've moved into, I'm waiting for some new releases to come out, but yeah, I'm sort of playing around with Fallout 76 in between things at the moment.
Okay, okay, that's nice. Third question is, what is your favorite part about making these suits? So, for example, like, is the helmet your favorite part, or your knee pads the favorite part?
Ooh, yeah, that's it's not so much a single item I'm building. The favorite part for me, and it will be a little bit interesting to describe here. The favorite part for me is working out the problems because you've got this thing that's either in a 3D model or it's in a flat file. You've got to try to convert that into something which works in real life. The issue with a lot of the video game power armors and the wearables in a game, they sort of ignore real world physics. So you've got to try to add real world physics to these in-game items, as in this chess piece which is sitting on front of you. How do you connect that to yourself? How do you connect the backpack to yourself so that it's easy for you to be able to walk around in? Especially if you're going to a convention, you've got to be ready. You've got to be prepared to walk around in these things for up to about 8 hours. And so you want them to be very very comfortable. So the funny thing for me was like I started out when looking at suits of armor. Like I used to be big with Warhammer, love Warhammer, and the big Space Marines and the Terminators. So I'd built a 10 foot high Terminator many years ago, and the feet, the boots of it, they were these basically flat foot. I think I could last round about 1 hour tops in that piece of armor there, about an hour, and it was heavy. It was uncomfortable. It was unwieldy. It looked absolutely awesome, but I could it was hard to move around with, and it was very painful as well. So when I started looking at our power armors I'm running now, I put a lot of focus into the feet because with any build that you're doing, you have to, in my opinion, you've got to focus on the feet. If the feet are not comfortable, you are not comfortable. And then when you're not comfortable, it makes for a bad day. If you're going to a convention, you might be walking around for half an hour. And next thing you know, your feet are sore, your legs are sore, you want to try to sit down. You can't sit down in these things, they're just way too bulky. So for me, it
Mhm.
was I put a lot of focus into engineering a heel and toe mechanism into the feet. So for the favorite part of building for me is finding a problem that nobody else has solved and solving that problem. It's it is a bit of a frustrating thing at times because there's times there where you feel like you're bashing your head against the wall. But when you crack that solution, you've got this amazing feeling in yourself like, yes, I did it. I solved it. I got it. Yes. So, and then the next best feeling is when you finish. When you finish and everything's done, you put it on and look at yourself and go, wow, that looks really cool. So yeah, that'd be my favorite thing is solving the problems.
Hmm. Okay, I actually agree with that because I want to make my own power suit eventually. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly which model I'm settled on quite yet, but I know I want to make one.
Oh, look, it'll be the best thing that you ever do. It will be the best thing. It'll be the best thing. It'll be the most frustrating thing that you ever do. It'll be the
Hmm.
most painful thing that you're ever going to do. And at the end of it, you're going to feel so awesome. You will. And that's guaranteed, man. Like you'll feel so awesome. But during that journey itself, you are going to meet some amazing human beings out there. You're going to meet some amazing human beings that just want to help you. They just want to see you succeed. Yeah. And for me, that's one of been the greatest things about doing props and cosplay and costumes and that. It's meeting really awesome people. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. The building the suit is good, but it's not as much fun as playing with other people. Yeah, you can rock up and everyone's having fun and everyone's complimenting us, and it's a very positive environment for you. But again, I said it's going to be it's a frustrating journey, but at the end of the day, it will be one of the most satisfying things you will ever do in your life.
Mm. Okay, so I have some questions later on for some
Yeah,
tips on how to make one. You know, look obviously good, but
yeah.
my next question is, if you could give me some ideas and examples of how to make a power suit of my own, what would they be?
Okay, this one I've got some. I think I've got some pretty good tips for here. Okay,
Mhm.
my first tip is don't look at the big suit of armor as one build because it's like the old saying, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Yeah, you can't eat the whole thing at once. You actually have to focus on one small thing. So my advice is like, if you choose whatever you choose, a 250, 245, a 51, a 60, yeah, I'd I'd choose one piece of that piece of armor there, and I'd focus on working on that. One of the smallest pieces there is either the cod piece, the butt plate, or one of the bicep pieces. They've got some of the least amount of materials in it. So focus on that one piece first, and
Mhm.
then just do it good. Don't look for perfection. You know, when you're first starting out, perfection is the enemy of good. Okay, if you're trying to get something perfect, you will never get it perfect. You know, because again, you haven't built those skills yet. They'll come with time. Yeah. And time, it's, you can't speed up time. Yeah, the your experience will grow with it. So don't look for perfection, just look for good to start off with. And then once you've got something that looks good, be satisfied that you have completed one piece. Okay. You can break your whole piece of armor down into around about over a dozen single individual pieces. Be happy every time that you finish one piece. So focus on one piece first. And when that's done, by the time you finish that, you will have learnt some new techniques, some new methods, or better ways to start on the second piece. And then start all over again. That's only one piece. So don't start to look at your suit of armor as, okay, I have to finish this one thing. Break it down to smaller pieces. Focus on each individual piece, and then apply what you've learned by doing that first piece onto your second piece. That would be from a holistic point of view. The second thing I would say is there is so much that you can build with hardly anything. So the you'll my first power armors I made them out of an EVA foam. So it was a hardened EVA foam. A lot of people used to use floor mats. So floor mats themselves, they're not bad, but they're not the best for holding the shape and for gluing together. Um, but I've actually seen people make power armor out of cardboard. You know, it just look at the end of the day, it just depends on what materials you have access to as well. And again, going back to this whole concept of perfection is the enemy of good.
Hmm.
If you want something that's going to be perfect, you'll need the best materials. The best materials cost money. Okay. And this is when we're looking at prop making or costume making, if you're trying to use the best materials and you haven't developed your skills enough yet, the chances are that you're going to get to a point of view where you might essentially ruining that piece because again you haven't built those skills yet. Then you've got to throw that piece away and start again. That costs money. Okay. So you want to try to do it as economical as possible by still developing and building your skills. Um, these days, like I'm doing a lot of stuff with 3D printers.
Hmm.
3D printing is expensive. Yeah, it's no word of a lie. It is expensive. Um, and again, especially down here in Australia, like we pay a lot of extra for shipping. So because again, we're all the way down the bottom. So we've got to pay more for shipping. So we pay a bit more for materials down here. Um, so you want to try to test out or sort of hone your skills on cheap materials because if you mess it up, who cares? It's cheap. Okay, you can do it again, and it's something that's going to be readily available for you. So they're the two main things that I would say to focus on to start off with. Um, and then the third thing would be uh, if if you want to do some pretty decent cosplaying to start off with, get the right applications on your computer. So the first thing I started off with was using Peppercura. So Peppercura is where everyone's going to start. So Peppercura, it's basically papercraft. You
Hmm.
can get these templates online where they're a flat piece of paper and you cut the shapes out and you'll trace them out onto some foam and then you glue them together. And as you glue them together, they will make the shape. Um, so start off with Peppercura. So you can get Peppercura Designer free, one of the free editions of it. Uh, then when you want to start looking at scaling your armor to yourself, there's another application called Armor Smith. I think it's still around. That's really good. You can put your body dimensions in, and then you can scale the armor to your body dimensions rather than just trying to guess. So that'd be the main ones. Start small, try to use cheap material, and get some free applications there to be able to help you on your way.
Hmm. Okay, okay. That's some good advice. So what materials do you think work the best?
For me, from a economical point of view, but also from a quality point of view, EVA foam, it's one of the best ones for you. It's lightweight. So to give you an idea, the T60 power armor I did, um, that weighs in at around about probably 35 kilos or so.
Hmm.
Whereas the EVA foam, might be maximum uh, 7 kilos. So it's much more lightweight. So with the EVA foam, it's also very easier to be able to quickly fix things to. So you've got your strappings, your Velcro strappings, which got to go onto it, and it's much more comfortable wearing. So starting off with any type of foam, um, especially with EVA foam, there's different grades of EVA foam. You can get, like you said, you got the soft floor mats. They won't be so great. And again, EVA foam, you got to use a lot of contact cement as well. So contact cements, yeah, a lot of people, when they first start, they use hot glue to be able to glue the EVA foam together, but that doesn't give you clean seams at the end of the day. So you really want clean seam lines when you glue two pieces together. So getting some good EVA foam, good seam lines, so using contact cement there, that would be the is where you start. Um, I use a linear belt, like a grinder on it with a belt grinder to be able to sand those seams so that they're really, really perfect. Um, then you also need a heat gun to seal the EVA foam, so then you can get it prepared for paint. So yeah, EVA foam's great, but again, it needs a lot of preparation as well. So what you save on doing something in 3D with a 3D printer, you might spend a little bit more getting it prepared. Uh, Generally, when you're going to prepare EVA foam, you actually have to seal it first. So again, the heat gun's going to do a heat seal on it, but then you've got to get the base ready to so you can get the paint to stick to it. You can use a spray called Plasti Dip, which is good, but again, it's expensive if you're doing a full suit of armor. A lot of people just use Elmer's glue, which has just been watered down, and that works just as fine as well. So there's always cheaper options to get to where you're going. It's just finding out the people who are going to tell you what the cheaper options are.
Got you, got you. Okay. So, what is your favorite food and why?
Ooh, food, yeah. I used to have a lot of favorite foods. There was about 5 years ago now, I think. I found out I was celiac. So that sort of stopped a lot of my favorite foods. And at the time there, my favorite food was either KFC or meat pies. Like down here in Australia, we're big with our meat pies. And when I talk about big pies, they're like a little pie. So I don't know if you've seen like an Aussie meat pie. It's about yay big, filled with mince and cheese and bacon. It's absolutely beautiful. Um, I can't eat those anymore. You can still get some gluten-free ones, but still. But these days, I'm a big fan of one of my favorite foods, honey chicken, Chinese honey chicken. Love it. Cannot get enough of that. But also, I'm a huge barbecuer. Like I love my barbecue. So there's nothing I like more than the barbecue on the back there. I've got a big smoker out the back there, so smoking up some steaks or lamb loins or lamb chops, marinated in some oyster sauce there, straight on the barbecue. Perfect. So yeah, yeah, you have a tough time tearing me away from a barbecue. So you got like gluten intolerance or celiac as well.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh,
Like it depends because I can't eat anything with gluten that much. Like I can eat like a little bit of it from here to there, you know. But
yep.
if I eat too much of it, then I start to get like itchy and you know.
Yeah. Oh, look, look. The thing was, like, I mean, I was like, they said that I was fine. Again, I found out when I was like 45 years old. I mean, imagine going for 45 years of your life loving KFC, and then the next day they say you cannot have KFC anymore. Like, my world was ending. I love KFC. Like, I love wicked wings. I mean, wicked wings were my thing. But yeah, I feel you, man. So it's a big change. But I think the good thing these days is the prices have come down pretty heavily with gluten-free stuff, and there's more stuff available as well. So have you guys got like I got a real banger gluten-free lasagna recipe if you want it, man. I'll guarantee you. Yeah,
Hmm.
it'll be next level. It will be next level. Trust me on it.
I'll trust you this time. But I've never had a gluten-free lasagna. I don't think I have.
Oh yeah, it's all in the it's all in the it's all in the mince. It's all in the mince. The good thing is these days they're getting a lot more gluten-free pastas, so that's fine. But yeah, it's all in the mince. It's all in the mince, man. Like I make my lasagnas. They're about 2.5, 3 inches thick. They're big boys. They're big boys. They're one tray is enough to be able to feed the whole family for a couple of weeks.
Wow. All right. So, are you making more costumes for other shows soon?
There's nothing planned for other shows at the moment. I mean, I've got a few costumes that I've got planned to unveil at the next lot of conventions. So I've just finished off on the Centurion armor from Caesar's Legion. That one looks very, very rad. And next week, or this week coming, I'm starting on the NCR power armor from the from the TV show. So there's the NCR power armor,
Yeah.
brother. It looks absolutely sick. So there's one of the best designers on the web there, App Forgery. He's actually started building all the 3D files for it. So I've got the helmet files already. So that is first cab off the rank for me. I'm doing the NCR power armor. That's the next bad boy I'm doing.
Yeah, like when I first came up with the idea to actually make like an armor, I was thinking the NCR would be my best choice, but the only problem was it's more complicated than just a normal one. I think it is at least.
Yeah. Is it by the looks? It looks like it's got T60 legs, like T45 chest plate, T51 shoulder, modified shoulders, even and then on the back of it as well, it looks like there's like a little mini missile launcher
Hmm.
on the back where one of the tanks would normally be. But yeah, that it looks pretty complex. I'm actually pretty stoked to see what App Forgery is going to do with his files there because the files that App Forgery does, yeah, they're top tier. They're absolutely some of the most detailed files that you'll ever get.
Hmm. So what is that for 3D printers?
Yes, yeah, 3D printers. So
Gotcha.
I've got a few 3D printers in the shed there that they work they sort of work around the clock.
Now that I think about it, I actually probably should invest in one of those.
Oh yeah, man. Look, the earlier that you can get into 3D printing, the better it is. But in saying that as well, I wouldn't if you're just starting out doing prop making, the best place to be able to hone your skills is with with foam and those sort of things there because that gives you the ability to learn your hand tools. So for me, it was like using hand tools was pretty easy for me because I mean I did my electrical trade in a steelworks here in Newcastle. Like in Newcastle, here we had a big steelworks where back in the day there was about maybe 35,000 employees at these steelworks. It was our entire city was built around these steelworks. So people just left, you walked out of school and walked straight into the steelworks. And I spent the first year of my apprenticeship at the steelworks learning hand tools. And that's stuck with me my whole life. So again, once you learn the basics of hand tools, you can pretty much use any tools. You can there are most of them are just derivatives of your basic set of hand tools there. So learning those hand tool skills, and that's something that's becoming a lost art as well. Learning, base hand tools. Everything's getting more 3D printed, more CAD design stuff, but we can't forget those basic skills either because always say what happens when the power goes out.
Oh, yeah. So, who's your personal favorite character that you relate to the most from the TV show?
Ooh, from the TV show? Um, well, that's an interesting one from the TV show. From the video game, I would probably say Strong from Fallout 4. Um, Yeah, because I like the whole his whole concept of the milk of human kindness. But from the TV show, I'd say a little bit. Oh, a little bit of Chet with a little bit of Ghoul in there.
Yeah.
You gotta love Chet. You gotta love Chet. Yeah,
Wait,
Chet's
Chet, Chet,
good.
Chet, Chet. I'm trying to remember which one was Chet.
He's
Um,
the one who's supposed to be marrying Stephanie.
oh, right. The crazy eye patch lady.
Yes, crazy eye patch lady. Yes.
Okay, so what side of the wasteland do you think you would originate from if you were a character in the show? So, for example, like
Ooh,
the Brotherhood of Steel or like the, Wastelanders, Vault
yeah.
Dwellers.
I think I would be a vault dweller, but if I ever got out of the vault, I think I would gravitate towards the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah.
That and that. Oh, again, it's like the thing about I think the main thing about all the factions within Fallout, and this is I think one of the coolest things about Fallout is that there's no one faction where their entire ideology is correct. There's every single faction has a flaw. Every single faction out there, it's there's something wrong with it. It's just varying scales of what is wrong. I mean, Vault-Tec, obviously, Vault-Tec, their ideology was it was very subversive to start off with. At the beginning, it was like we're here to help, we're here to save you and help you, but it was it was more that we're here to turn you into a lab experiment. The Brotherhood of Steel, they're very closed minded as they've got their codex. It has to be done by the codex, and if you can't apply um, human morals and ethics to your decision making, in my eye, that's evil. It's evil because you're essentially going against something that was written by somebody, maybe hundreds of years before, which is essentially maybe it's outdated thinking. One of the best things about being humans is our ability to learn and to adapt, but also our ability for empathy as well. So the Brotherhood of Steel sort of lack of empathy there is like, oh, I don't really like it, but you know what? You've got some really cool power armor. That's yeah, like I'll take some of your power armor. Again, Enclave, there's a lot wrong with the Enclave, but there's some of the when you start to think about what they were trying to do, you can sort of not so maybe sympathize or empathize with them, but they just lost their way. They didn't they started making decisions which were neither moral nor ethically right, but it was more that one single view there that they want to get to the end where they're wiping out anyone who doesn't believe with them. And again, that's wrong. So again, I think it's my answer would be it would be a bit of vault dwellers. And again, vault dwellers at the end of the day, they were just innocent. They were just innocent at the end of the day. And most of them uh they it was funny people say, oh, they were relatively peaceful in that, but they weren't necessarily peaceful. They were harmless. And because to be peaceful, like I said, you have to have a capacity to actually do harm. And most of the vault dwellers there, they were so sheltered and hidden within those vaults there that they were completely babes. They were harmless. So I'd hate to be someone that was absolutely harmless walking out into the wasteland, but it would be good to be able to have a nice warm bed, some hot meals, and a hot shower. So yeah, the hot meals and hot showers from the Vault Dwellers, the power armor from the Brotherhood of Steel, and I'm a okay.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. So, wait, I already asked that question. How long do these costumes averagely take to make?
So if I'm doing an EVA build, probably maybe 2 3 months or so. Um, doing the so when I did the T60 3D printed that one, I did that in 5 weeks. Um, yeah, that I had four printers running down here at my place, and I had a friend up in Queensland, the next state across. He had four printers running as well. We had those printers running, eight printers running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We went through 47 rolls of filament, so about 47 kilos of filament, and we got everything printed within about 2.5 weeks. And then it was down to sanding, assembling, painting, and then getting everything built. So it was about 5 weeks for that. But that was something there where I was not sleeping much. I'd come home from work, have something to eat, and I'd be back out in the shed there, and sort of I might work through till about midnight, one or so in the morning, and then come in, have some sleep, and then get up again at 5 o'clock in the morning, get outside, uh, get uh, get a bit of exercise in, and then straight to work. Then back home at about 5 6 o'clock in the afternoon and do it all again. So it's doing these big builds here. I usually do them in sprints. Um, so I like to have a target. I'll hit that target there. So I'll do a sprint to be able to make sure that I get the job done, and then I might not do anything for a couple of weeks, or I might do some small items around the place, but might play Fallout 76 for a week after that. So, you got to play. You got to play at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and you need that downtime as well. So you need to decompress after work. And if you're building too much, it stops being a hobby, and that becomes work. So then you start to lose the enjoyment for it. So you got to be able to find an easy medium for it. Um, for anyone who's starting out building a power arm with yourself, I'd say give yourself 12 months. Give yourself 12 months. Yeah, that would be the best one of the best advices is send like give yourself time as well, man. Because again, if I've seen it so many times before where people say, I want to do like a power arm or something, and they'll get to a point where there'll be a hurdle there and there's nobody there to help them. And it just becomes very, very despondent and depressing as well, where you're like, well, oh, this is taking too much. I want to get it finished, but I can't get it finished. And people just stop building. And again, that's one of the reasons why we've created the Wasteland Collective, is so that there's a hub there for people to come to ask for help. We don't care where you're from or who you are. If you want help, we'll give help. Because at the end of the day, the only way we can all grow is by helping each other, by sharing knowledge. There's no point in hoarding knowledge, because as soon as you start hoarding knowledge, well, why are you doing that? Why? What are you going to be, the smartest person in the graveyard? No, don't forget about that. Share your knowledge, embrace it. You know, when somebody comes along asking questions, yeah, answer as many questions as you can. You know, build that enthusiasm in young people. Because again, as well, when you're young, you're enthusiastic. You know, you want to get it done. Yeah, I want to get this done. I'm enthusiastic. If you've got someone there to be able to ask for help, to be able to show you, to guide you along the way, it makes it so much easier. Okay. The problem is if you take on a big project there that gets to the point there where you don't feel like you got support, you don't know where to go for help, you'll drop it. And then it's one of those things you're always going to be kicking yourself. Well, oh, I wish I'd finished that, or I wish I'd done that. Yeah. Don't ever drop it, man. And I said, building like a big suit of armor like that, it's going to be one of the toughest things in your life you're going to do, but it's also going to be one of the most well rewarding things you're going to do, because it's going to be something that you're going to do, and it's going to be something that you're going to look back and go, yeah, well, that was my mountain that I challenged. I was going to climb. You know what? I climbed that mountain, and if I can climb that mountain, man, I can climb the next one. I can climb the bigger one. Hell, after all, I'll be able to climb Everest, you know, and that's the enthusiasm with youth, you know. Youth, when it is guided and when it's honed in the correct way, you can climb mountains, you know. So man, yeah, that's it. Just yeah, go hard, but always ask for help as well.
Mm. Okay, so how many people do you think, on average, come to these conventions a year?
Depends what it is. I mean, I think we're looking at, so in Sydney, which is the closest big city that I go to. I think there's like they talk there's about 80 odd thousand people turn up to these things. And again, because we have so few conventions in comparison to the United States, like we see over in the States there's conventions all way around the country. Now, take into account that Australia is I think it's almost as big as the United States, but around about 75% of our country, it's it's uninhabitable. Like it's there's just things that want to kill you which out there. Like we got plenty of like desert, we've got plenty of red dirt, we've got plenty of forest areas, but most of our population lives along the coastline as well. That's not to say there's nobody who lives out in the middle of the states, and that there are some beautiful, fantastic towns out in regional and rural Australia here, but if we're talking about something very rural in Australia, people there's not going to be a convention there. So there's generally conventions in our capital cities. So we've got Brisbane up in Queensland, Sydney here in New South Wales, Melbourne down in Victoria, and then we've got Adelaide in South Australia, and Perth in Western Australia. Um, Perth and Western Australia are generally a lot smaller because again it's not as many people. It's not as a dense city as well. So when we do have conventions, we get some big numbers there. Like we have PAX down in Melbourne. Again, you're going to get close to 100,000 people go to PAX over 3 days. So we get some big numbers there. But again, it's usually due to the fact that we just generally do not have as many conventions as you guys in the States would generally have.
Okay. So, if you could choose any movie or show to make costumes for, what would it be?
Well, my number one answer is going to obviously be Fallout. I'd love to make like some of the props and the armor for Fallout. If it's not Fallout, from a movie point of view, I'd love to do Mad Max. I'd love to do Mad Max. So again, Mad Max, close to our heart here in Australia. It's our backyard. But in saying that as well, because I also build custom cars as well. So for me, like I grew up with my dad. We were gearheads. Like dad used to restore old cars. So I grew up with my dad in the shed there, you know, pulling motors apart, and all our cousins and all our extended family, we were all gearheads. We were all gearheads. We were all in the shed there somewhere, modifying a car and chopping bits and pieces out. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the whole Mad Max. But yeah, Fallout first, Mad Max second.
Yeah. That's actually really respectable because I never really thought of it like that because I feel like Mad Max and power suits would look so, so cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with you, man. Like if it was funny because like Mad Max was it the first movie was not really like an apocalypse sort of movie. It wasn't until Mad Max 2 where it really introduced that wasteland apocalypse side of things. And yeah, but then with the latest one with like Fury Road, that's pretty rad. Like it's I just love the look of some of the cars, and that's something that I'd love to see in Fallout as well. The vehicle side of things. I mean, I know we got the Highwayman, but it'd be cool to see some sort of chopped up cars in Fallout. Um, Even some sort of chopped up trains or something. Some sort of vehicles would be cool in Fallout. But again, maybe that's coming with the next Fallout 5, maybe.
Yeah. So wait, is a Fallout 5 even in production? Not production, what's the word? Development.
I believe it is. I mean, don't quote me at all on this. This is only my speculation, but I would assume that with the popularity of the TV show, that Fallout 5 would definitely have to be in development. And I've seen some articles saying that as well, that Fallout 5 is in development, but it's not going to be ready for many years to come.
Uh so who are your all-time favorite wait. Hmm. Okay. Who Mom, did you make this question?
I revised it.
Who are your all-time favorite villain and hero? You mean what do
Like,
you mean by that?
like all
From what?
whatever.
Okay.
My
Okay,
all-time
so
favorite villains and heroes.
yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up. I grew up in the 1980s, so that's the greatest ever time period in history to grow up was the 80s. It was, and I grew up with comic books. My favorite comic book of all time was called the Justice Society of America. Um, and there was a character in that called Mr. Terrific. I believe in the latest Flash TV series, there's a new Mr. Terrific. Um, the old Mr. Terrific was this guy called Terry Sloan, and he had he wore these sort of overalls that had fair play written on them, and he was a Olympic athlete. He didn't really have superpowers. He was a normal guy who was dressed up, and his name was Mister Terrific, and he was really really cool. Um, and actually, no, the new Superman movie. There's Mister Terrific in the new Superman movie, where he's got like the balls and all that. He is a tech wizard. But yeah, Terry Sloan was the original one I grew up with, and I loved the whole concept of a normal guy being a superhero, but not some sort of rich boy like Batman. He was just a normal working class guy, and he was a superhero. And I loved the whole concept of fair play. And that's the reason why on my Five Knopf Creations logo, underneath it now, it says fair play. Because my whole concept is it's more about, you know, everyone everyone needs a fair shake. It's got to be fair play. Everyone needs fair play. We all got to, we fairness is one of the least respected qualities these days in the world. So for me, fair play. And especially in Australia where we do have a saying, if we agree with something, it's if there's a ruling or a judgment, we say okay, yeah, fair play, fair play. So it's a sporting term that we use out here as well. My favorite villain, um, uh, look, I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here, and I'm gonna say the Joker. The Joker. Um, he never gives up. He never gives up.
Yeah.
You know, he's again, and he's just a normal guy. He doesn't have superpowers, but for some reason he always survives. But he never gives up, and that's the funny thing when you look at heroes and villains. Um, Villains are bad people, but you got to give them credit. They never give up.
That is true. Only problem is with Batman, he never actually does anything to really punish the Joker.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny that there was. If you ever heard of one of the issues called the Killing Joke?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I heard that comic.
yeah, yeah. So the Killing Joke as well. The ending of the Killing Joke has always been one of the most sort of discussed endings, so to speak. So it's whether Batman did or did not kill the Joker in it. And some people say it alludes to the fact that he did. Some people say he didn't. So I think it's one of the main ones where um, it he said it actually showed that Batman had potentially finished him off. But yeah, you're right. He slaps him on the wrist. He puts him in Arkham Asylum, and they escape. Which would be actually a bit of indictment for me when you look at Arkham Asylum. They really need to check out their security on that place. The amount of people who escape from Arkham Asylum. Oh my God, I'd be going check and seeing who the contractors are, who's supplying those locks. Really, like, who's got the plans to that place? Where are they getting those bricks and mortar from? Because obviously that's substandard material.
That is true. I don't know who's funding that prison, but I think they need to fund more.
I think they do. Yeah, it's definitely somebody's cutting corners on their contractors over there.
So,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
if you could invite someone to be a guest on Johnny Five Pizza Guy, who would it be and why?
Um, that'd be a good one. Um, I from a local here in Australia, um, it would either be a gentleman by the name of Noel Wheatley. So Noel is one of our local sort of video game gurus. He used to be a social media manager for Bethesda, um, but he's one of the most kindest and knowledgeable people around video games. He actually used to work in the video game archive in Canberra here, so he's got a massive in-depth knowledge around video games over the past, since they first invented. Noel, great guy, really, really talented person as well. But I'd also say from like a local artist or creator, um, Jamie in Disguises, who's one of our top cosplayers here in Australia. Um, but also there's a very very talented couple who work here in Australia called Henchwench and Scrap. Um, those guys there create some of the most amazing props you have seen in your life. So I think out of all my ramble here, I would probably say either Noel, Jamie, but number one I'd say would be Henchwench and Scrap Shop. So those guys, yeah, their work is impeccable. Their work is a level that I'm trying to aspire to.
I'm just wondering how good it can be because I've seen, obviously your power armor, and it seems like really, really, really good. So I'm not sure just how good these guys' costumes
Oh,
are.
they're amazing. Like they do, and the thing is they do everything from scratch as well. They do the 3D modeling, the printing, the painting, the electronics, everything. It's their essentially it is their full-time job. They are full-time prop makers, and they've done some amazing work for like the World of Warcraft. Um, Henchwench, she's last year's cosplay world champion as well. So yeah, she's amazing. So if you can get in touch with them, I mean that I said they are an absolutely amazingly talented couple here in Australia. They're one of our Australian heroes, our gems here in Australia.
Wow. Whoa. That's pretty crazy. A world-class champion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, my final question for you is, what is your message to the world?
My message to the world: be good to yourself, be kind to others, and make every day your masterpiece. That's it, in a nutshell.
Hmm. So do you think
Yeah.
do you think all my questions were good? So like rate them from 1 to 10 actually. That's a lot. better.
Look, look, I'll give you a 10 out of 10 for this, man. Like, look, the the thing about um interviewing and asking questions, it's a daunting process for adults, you
Hmm.
know. And for you, like, how old are you, man?
13.
For a 13-year-old to sit and have a conversation for roughly an hour over a subject which is as vast from television, video games, prop making, cosplay, you know, to be able to hold that conversation there for an hour, that's something that even a lot of adults cannot do. So credit to you, brother, that you've been able to ask very, very pointed questions, questions that, I'm more than happy and knowledgeable to be able to discuss. And you've also then countered with questions based off my answers as well. So, man, 10 out of 10, brother. It's top tier. And it's been an absolute pleasure um, to 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 spend this time here.
Mhm.
And realistically, man, I'm honored to be on your show.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. You know, because I wasn't too sure about these questions this time, but at least I know you like them, you know. Um, would you say they were like in depth, or would you say they were like, pretty surface level questions?
Look, the thing is that when we look at the questions here, you're asking me about my specific techniques, which is, again, that is an in-depth question. It's not so much surface level as well, because people say, "Oh, I just do 3D printing, I do EVA foam, and that's it." But you're asking me more about some of the specific skills and techniques that I use for it. And then you're asking for my personal opinion on things that, what's my personal opinion about something from the game, from the TV show. You know, Asking questions like that make me feel that you actually want to know what my opinion is as well. So that's not a surface level question as either. It's like you're caring about my opinion. And then you're asking about my favorite food and why. If you ask me what my favorite food was, that's a surface question. Asking why, that's asking something to be able to connect with the person you're talking to. So that's cool as well, man. So yeah, they're not surface level. And yeah, my favorite comic book character and my personal character that I would relate to, my answers to those that would actually dictate how essentially what my character is as well. So again, they're not surface level questions. They're actually questions which are designed to be able to tell you more about me than I would actually tell you in reality.
Well, thank you for, letting me interview you and, you taking the time out of your day to come and do this for me.
Nah, that's not a problem at all, man. Like I said, we're all about it's all about trying to be able to support young creators. Because I mean, I started off I started off when I was, in my 40s or late 30s, when the kids were really, really young. So, I had the benefits of already been working for over 20 years of my life. So, I'd been, married, we got kids, bought a house and all that sort of stuff here in Australia. Um, so then I actually had the ways and means to be able to fund my hobby.
Mhm.
But I see a lot of young people these days, they don't have the resources that I've got, yet they can still make amazing cosplays. They've got is a Stanley knife, some foam, and some contact cement. You know, and look, if you want I've got the Pepakura plans for T45, T51, and T60 power armors. Yeah, I'm more than happy to share those with you, man.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely need those because
yeah, I'll share them with you. My advice would be the T60 is probably one of the most uh, complex ones for the legs.
mhm.
Followed by the T51. I think the T45, that's pretty good. But again, the more shapes that are on it, it's, you know working with foam. It's like I said, it's an art in itself as well. Working with foam, it's called foam smithing. It's like, if it's been blacksmithing, but it's foam smithing. So there's a lot of techniques you got to learn. If you want to do a curved something which is curved, you can cut your corners to make it curved, or you do that, but then you might, what we do, which is one of the tricks, is you get a car toe ball and you heat up your foam and then you rub it over the toe ball, left, right, back, front, or right, and that actually creates the curves for you. So they're the little tricks that nobody's going to tell you.
Mm.
And and that's what I was saying before, man. It's the cost of materials, and like, you don't want to be spending money on materials, messing up and having to start again, because there's nothing worse than, going to get out more materials and the cost of your builds just goes skyrocketing then. So getting some, cut your teeth on cheap materials. So when you get to the good materials, your skills are up there, and you're not going to waste as much time nor money. Yeah, and that's what I said. Like, these days, I do a lot of the 3D printing stuff. Like, I was this weekend, I've been finishing off a Crusader pistol from Fallout 70, Fallout 76. The 3D print files I've got from Matt Forgery, those files are amazing. They're absolutely amazing files. Um, but on top of that as well, I've got a good 3D printer.
Yeah.
You know, so again, it's good to have good quality tools, but if you can't access good quality tools, your skills have to fill that gap. That's a really important point as well. If you are unskilled and you've got poor tools, you're going to end up with a poor product. If you've got poor tools but you've got good skills, you'll still be able to make high quality, outputs. If you've got good tools and good skills, you'll make amazing props.
Okay, okay, I understand that. So which model do you think would be the best to start off with? Like the simplest that would be beginner friendly.
Look, I'd say T45,
245.
T45, or the T45's got the bar. Actually, I'd probably say the T51. The
T51.
T51, because again, I built for my son when he was about 10 or 11 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I built him the T51, and I'd scaled the whole thing down. So at the time, he was about like 4.5 foot or so, 4 foot. So he was able to fit into the T51 that I made for him. Like, he's 19 now, and he's a big boy now. So he's he wouldn't definitely would not fit in it. He's about 5'7" now, but he's a big boy. He's got, big biceps on him. He spends a lot of time in the gym, and we our whole family, we do Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well. So Jackson's been doing jiu since he was about 4. I'm a black belt as well, so I've been doing BJJ for 20 years now.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so yeah, he's sort of grown up in a gym as well. So he's so any of the old costumes I made for him, a lot of them won't fit him now because he's just too chonky. He's too chonky boy.
Yeah.
Now, would you
But
like me
but
to share with him that you also trained in martial arts and also boxed at American Combat Gym here in Florida?
Oh yeah, there's that.
nice.
Yeah, I was into boxing for a little bit, and then I was also in karate. I was
Nice.
in what's that one? Actually, not never mind, never mind. That was like barely even a little bit. It was like a certain martial arts style or something like that.
Jiu-jitsu.
You sure that's what it is? Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like I guess it was jujitsu, I guess. Not for long though.
Look, jits is great. It's a healthy sport. Like, the thing is, you find muscles that you don't even know existed. that's that's one of the first things I worked out about jits. but yeah, so like my wife, she's a brown belt in BJJ. Both my kids, Jackson and Kendall, they're both blue belts. Yeah, so they've been training for a long, long time. They dropped off for here and there, like as you do when you're growing, when you're a teenager. Your priorities sort of shift a little bit now. Both of them are at university as well now, so they're juggling jobs, university, you know, relationships, all the good things about growing up.
Mm. All right, that's
Yeah.
nice.
But yeah, man,
Uh,
look, we were talking with our my social media manager today with the Wasteland Collective, uh, and want to know if you would be interested in being on one of the Wasteland Collective Twitch streams once you started doing your builds. If
mhm.
you would be interested in being on one of our Twitch streams to be interviewed.
I think I would, but how do they work exactly?
Pretty much same as what we're doing here. So yeah, it's you just dial in with your video, and they'll get in. They'll you know at the moment it's a one-on-one. When we're doing our interviews, we'll have like a set up here where it's they'll have a lounge set up, and it'll be a very casual discussion there, and they'll be talking about your what you're doing. They're talking about Fallout, but yeah, if you're interested in that in a little bit time, you're more than welcome to be on the Wasteland Collective Twitch stream one day.
Hmm. So do you think it'd be would I be doing the interviewing? Would they be interviewing me? Like, how does that work?
They'd be interviewing you.
Ah, got you.
Yeah, so they'd be asking about your builds, about Fallout, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just something to leave open for you, man, if you ever want to look at that in the future.
Yeah, I'd say in in some months' time, maybe when I actually
Yeah,
start making it.
100%, man. I'll get I've got the two T51 Power Armor Pepicura files. Um, and again, I'll get those across to you. And yeah, that's that's going to be where you want to start. But again,
Yeah.
start with one piece, brother. Like start one piece because you just want to focus on that one piece. Once you can get that right, you'll be stoked. And you'll learn a lot from that very first piece there. Don't treat a power armor as one single build. Treat it as it may be, a dozen separate builds. It's just that you're going to
Um,
progress through that build there, and you're going to get better with every single step of the way. And on top of that as well, you've also going to be able to tap into a network of creators and artists out there who will be able to give you advice. Um, if you want, I'll put something on my socials there to put a call out to any local cosplayers or prop makers within Florida that you can get in touch with who can help you out locally as well.
wow. Okay. Yeah, that definitely sounds good. Um, all
But
right.
man, look, man, yeah, look, you got a really bright future ahead of you, man. I said you've got your head screwed on straight. Look, you're out there, you're hustling. You're not sitting in a room on an iPad or something. You're actually out here doing something that a lot of adults can't even do themselves. So you're winning in life already, brother. And they said you've got a great mother there who's supporting you doing this. And again, that's even better, man. you know. So yeah, hug your mother, tell her you love her, and that's probably about the best thing you can do every day, man.
Well, thank you for the advice, the bit of motivation, all those things.
Hell yeah,
Um,
man. Look, at the end of the day, like I said, my whole thing is be good to yourself, be kind to others, and make every day your masterpiece. That in itself, that is my one single motto for life. You got to be good to yourself. You got to be kind to others, and you wake up every single morning and you make that day your masterpiece. Yeah, just make that day your masterpiece. Don't worry about what happened yesterday. Yesterday's yesterday for a reason. You know, whatever happened yesterday has formed you to be the person that you woke up today. And if you're waking up every single morning and you want to go out and get there and you want to get those, you want to interview people, well, you go and do it, brother. You go and do it, because nobody else is out there doing that. Yeah. And at the end of the day, man, you might get 1,000 knockbacks. You might get 1,000 non-responses out there. But then when you do get one, yes, you got that one. And you know what's going to happen next? You're going to get another. And then you're going to get another. And you're going to get another, and it's going to happen. You just make every day your masterpiece, man, because that's all you got.
All right. Well, thank you for that because I'm not even sure when I want to start that power armor. I think um hmm, maybe I
Start
should
on just
start it
like
when I'm ready, or
just
should I just start it when I don't know. I think I have to get the
if I was you,
materials first and all these other things, so it's gonna be
if I was
fun.
you, I'd start on like a small armor piece.
Yeah,
One small armor piece. It might be like the simplest one, which is the like a vault dweller's shoulder piece.
right.
That's one of the simplest ones out there, or an NC or not an NCR, a like a marine combat armor shoulder piece. They're very very simple pieces. So again, I've got all those files out over here. So if you want access to them, in, I'll organize that for you. So yeah, start on something small. Like I said, if you're going to do a power armor, start on one little piece, the smallest piece, the simplest piece. But if you want to do a full complete one, choose something really relatively small. Like again, it's like a shoulder piece. And once you get that done, you might go, hey, look, I think that's good, but that went bad, that went good. I'm going to repeat the good. Not going to do the bad, and that's the learning curve that comes with it, man. So again, try something small first. Yeah. The worst thing is to bite off more than you can chew, and then you get despondent about it, and then you stop doing it, and then you don't want to do that. It's a lot harder to pick it back up after if you've dropped it. But again, at the end of the day, man, you've always got people out there you can ask questions for and ask questions of. Yeah, and myself, we've got other creators around in Australia and also the United States. There, people will be more than happy to help you, man. Especially a young, go-getting 13-year-old dude who's out there absolutely killing it. So, man, yeah, you're a legend, bro. Absolute legend.
Thank you, thank you. You too, though, because I'm actually like really inspired by seeing your power suits and like how they look. I'm pretty inspired by it.
Nah,
Just
thanks,
I want to
man. Really
eventually
appreciate that.
somehow get as good as that or even better.
And you will. And you will. You know, that's the thing. It's like, you're 13 years old and starting off. I'm 50 years old now. I've been working in construction for 30 years. So I've got 3 times your life worth of experience underneath my belt already. At 13-year-old, man, if you can start now, by the time you're 25, you're going to be just as good, if not better than me. Yeah, you will be better than me. Because the thing that you've got, which a lot of people don't have, it's motivation and drive. It's the desire to actually do something, the desire to win, the desire to be successful, the desire to be better. That's what you've got. Not many people have that, man. And that's what we can see. That's what I can see in you. And that is a rare quality, and it's a quality that needs to be fostered and mentored so that it can actually reach its full potential.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Me, a big thing that I want to do as much as possible is to be able to pass on knowledge that I've been able to accumulate over my life, pass it on to somebody else, because knowledge is power. To me, knowledge is power. And even when we're talking about skills, like learning base fundamental skills, there's nowhere where you can go where it's like, this is a free university to learn how to do prop making and cosplay. You
Hmm.
you can sit there and you can watch 1,000 different YouTube videos out there, and you'll pick things up, obviously, but there's a lot of time in scouring through finding the right things. You've got
Hmm.
to, or you might hear somebody say something, you pick up a keyword, and then you go hunting that keyword down. It takes a long time.
Yeah,
If I've got the ability to pass on some of my knowledge that I've been able to accumulate, then that's a big bonus for me. Because
hmm,
it means then that, look, if I die tomorrow, it means then somebody out there is using the skills that I'd accumulated to continue building and continue creating, continue sharing, continue motivating people out there. And that's something that we all need.
I
You know?
agree. Like if, even if, or you could look at it this way: if you die tomorrow, you live eternally through the people that you've shared that information with, because in turn, a good majority of those people are going to share that information again.
Yes,
So you are
100%.
immortal.
Yeah, it's exactly right, And that's why I say, like, my whole motto is be good to yourself, be kind to others, make every day your masterpiece.
Right
It to
on.
me that sums up life for me. You got to be good to yourself. And that's one thing, as that's another thing as well, Johnny. You also got to be remember, you have to be forgiving of yourself. You might set yourself a benchmark that is way too high, and you might not reach that benchmark. Be forgiving of yourself if you didn't hit that benchmark. Okay. It just means that maybe that you set it too high, but I'll guarantee you, if you set a high benchmark, if you aim for that benchmark but don't hit it, you are still going to hit a level higher than anyone else. you
Yeah.
know but be forgiving of yourself, because again, when you're young, again, I know when I was young, I wanted it straight away. I wanted to know how to do it. And I end up rushing things through because I just wanted to see this thing at the end of the day. you know you got to be forgiving of yourself, and you got to also understand that at 13 years old there is no expectations of you. Even what you're doing now and even what you're achieving now is above the standard expectations for most people. So you're already achieving more than most, man. And that's what I mean. You have to be forgiving. You got to be kind to yourself. It's good to be kind to others, but the most important thing is you got to be kind to yourself. You got to look after yourself as well. You got to eat right. You got to exercise. You got to get outside. You got to get out in the sun. You got to allow time for yourself as well.
Mm.
You just can't be all work, 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 work either. You got to play. And that's why when my son, when he was growing up, I was always saying, okay, we're playing video games today. We're playing video games today. I don't look. School's important. Education is very, very important. But the most important thing is having an attitude of wanting to succeed, wanting to be better, you know. And there's going to be times there, man, that you're going to feel like no matter how bad you want to succeed, the world is against you. You know, those times there, you just have to stop, take a step back, and look outside of your field of view, and you'll see
Mm.
all these people standing next to you who want to help you. People want to help you, man. Yeah, and you got your greatest supporter sitting right next to you, brother. Yeah, your greatest supporter sitting right next to you. But in saying that as well, like if there are communities out there which they want to help you. It's just trying to filter out the people who want to help you rather than help themselves or use you to help them. You know, and that's one of the problems that you'll find these days. Too many people are out there; they just want to use you. Yeah, and as you
Yeah.
get older, you'll be able to figure those people out. But again, don't ever let yourself be taken advantage of those people. Know your worth. At the end of the day, know your worth, brother.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know your worth, then somebody else is going to set your worth a lot less than what you are actually worth. Yeah. Have that faith and that belief in your worth as well. As I said, 13 years old, man, you're doing more than most people out there. So know your worth, and go out there and believe in yourself. And if you're getting any knockbacks and things aren't going right, understand that your worth has not diminished in any way, shape, or form. You are still worth as much as you were yesterday, man. And that is top dollar. You know, have that belief in yourself. So again, be good to yourself, be kind to others. And again, you wake up every single day and you make that day your masterpiece. Okay. You don't worry about yesterday because yesterday's behind you. There's a reason why they call it a rear view mirror, because it's behind you. You know, there's a reason why there's haters behind you. It's because they're behind you. It means you're in front. You're out in front. You're leading the charge. You're being the person out there who has got the dare to do the things that most people don't want to do, or don't even have the courage or the motivation to do. At 13 years old, man, you're out there kicking indoors. And I love that. I love that, man. That, you may not be showing that intensity, but I know that that intensity is there within you, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you just got to you got to believe in yourself. You got to have a faith in yourself, and you got to know your worth, and understand that there are so many people around you that want you to succeed. And understand this. The last thing I'll say is that your parents will be the only people in your life who want you to be better than them.
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
All right. All right. So I think we are pretty much done with this interview.
Thank you so much, man. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure and it's been an honor. And thank you for your time, man. I really do. I really do appreciate everything that you've done to be able to set this up. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.